Hello, thanks for joining us. First, I want to apologize for starting behind schedule due to some technical challenges beyond our control. Now, let's move forward. Now, Small and Medium Enterprises Act catalyst in the economic development of any developing and developing countries. On Business Nigeria today, we will be talking extensively on the roles of SMEs on the economic and economic development in a country like Nigeria, as well as the challenges facing this sector. I am Todulokpe Ogunjobi. Welcome. A warm welcome to you again. Now, SMEs have contributed greatly to the growth and development of many of the developed nations in terms of employment, contribution to GDP, as well as exports. In a developing nation like Nigeria, SMEs have been recognized as a foundation for achieving rapid economic growth and development through their output as well as employment potentials. However, despite the recognized numerous advantages of SMEs, the contribution of this sector to the overall economic development of the country, like example Nigeria, has over the years remained very low. Now, unfortunately, SMEs in Nigeria have underperformed as its contribution to the country's GDP is below average. Nigeria's SMEs at present experience a lot of problems and hardship, and this is not just as an effect of the economic downturn. There are a number of bottlenecks. Now, to help us analyze this and put some of this into perspective is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, aka UBG. Thank you for your time on Business Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'm going to start just like in the intro script. I talked about contributions of SME to the GDP. It's been remarkably low. What do you think is responsible for this?
Yeah, so many factors are responsible, really. The enabling environment is not really too good to encourage them or push them into contributing massively to the gross domestic product of the country. And when I say enabling environment, it includes so many factors. For example, look at the issue of infrastructure. SMEs cannot do effectively well in the situation where they provide their own light. You know what it means? If there is good light, good electricity, that means the money being expended by SMEs to generate their own power will be invested into other things. You understand? That is just one aspect. Access to credit is another thing. When I say access to credit, the interest rate which they have to comply with before they can access credit to use in running their businesses is also a Herculean task. For example, especially through the commercial banks, say the interest rate is 25% and above. While in other climes, when we were opening, you said SMEs constitute the engine of economic growth globally. So the question is, in the developed world where SMEs are playing this role, what is the situation with regards to access to credit? It's not the same with ours. You understand? So there are a lot of factors, regulations, legal and regulatory issues. You want an SME to launch into business and do very well. Then you say if the SME is to register a product for certification, he has to pay so much money. You know the meaning of an SME. You understand? In other climes, these things are brought low. So that, like in the situation we find ourselves now, we need to encourage more SMEs to enter into the field.
That takes me to my next question, because I am worried about looking at the move of the Nigerian government at this time, trying to revamp, revitalize, and also re-energize most of these sectors. Let's look at some sectors like the textile, diversification in one word.
Sure.
And we still have these challenges. Now, what way do you think? Because there are lots of moves being made, particularly in the Vice President's office, looking at ease of doing business. There have been lots of moves. How will you say this has fared?
Yes, there have been a lot of moves from the government side which, if you know, there's a paradigm shift now compared with the past. Because in the past, we've relied on oil. We were running a mono economy. Now, oil has disappointed us in the sense that the price of oil in the international market has gone down below the expected. And that has put us in serious crisis, of which that is how the issue of diversification come up. Because if our economy had been diversified, so there will be any foreign exchange through many sources, this crisis will not be there. Though diversification as an economic policy trust is in order, but it needs to be powered effectively.
Exactly. Infrastructure.
It needs to be powered effectively. What do we mean by that? Look at, you say, ease of doing business. If your infrastructure is not in order, power, transportation, road network, rail system, if these things are not functioning to the optimum, what are you doing? You understand? Before you talk about regulations, tax, these are some of the issues. But I know they have been moved. For example, in the area of taxation, SMEs also saw, this is one of the major challenges they were facing in Nigeria.
Are they subjected to paying high level of tax?
Not just high, multiple taxation. The federal is there, the state is there, local government, one company. How do you want that person to survive? So luckily, in addressing that, in that regard, even before that committee came on board in August this year, we went to the extent of mobilizing a consulting firm like Deloitte to do a sector-wide position paper on that, the tax situation in Nigeria, and come up with good recommendations that will help the authorities. As we are doing that, the tax review committee came on board, and we've made representations to them. In fact, if you read today's Guardian, you see that they have, I think, the last stakeholders engagement on the 7th in Abuja, Transcorp Hotel, on the 8th of November, that's 7th of November, Transcorp Hotel.
Now, in all of this now, issues of policy is coming. Yeah. We've had lots of policy, or I don't want to use the word somersaults, because, looking at the Forex issue, which is also a major problem to manufacturers and even some SME.
Absolutely.
I'd like to have your take on this. At first, it was pegged. At the time, it became flexible. But still, as we speak, I know in the parallel market, a dollar still goes for over 400 naira.
Absolutely.
And the black market, the commercial banks and other banks, I know it's also a little above 300, except So now, what effect has this also had on the growth of SMEs?
It has serious impact, especially for those SMEs that need some input from outside the country. That means they are going to pay in foreign exchange. You understand? And if it's so difficult to access this, then it becomes a huge challenge. Though the idea behind that is the government said, if you can source your raw material or those things you need, then that means you source for it locally.
But I think it's time we begin to do that.
Absolutely. But these things are not done in a quick, fixed way. You understand? Even those who produce raw materials, what have they been doing all this while? Were they empowered to start earlier? So these things you have to say, put a time frame that, look, we have to look into this way, so that by the time you follow through this time frame put aside, the people that are supposed to supply this will be ready to do that. But, in an economy, you don't do things that way. So we have a huge challenge there. What are those that cannot easily source their own within immediately? They are going to face a lot of difficulties. And it's going to affect their production cost. Even though recently the government have said 60% of it should be given to the manufacturing sector.
Manufacturers, yes.
It's good.
But the level of compliance is also
another
call for question.
Exactly. That's another point. Is the CBN following through? They are trying, but are they really following through to make sure that that policy is complied with by the commercial banks and those who sell this foreign exchange?
I would like to see an economy where the SMEs thrive. I'd like to see an economy where where the SMEs can contribute willingly to the growth and development of a country like Nigeria. Now, we've identified policies, we've identified what are some, because I know some things need to be done in the short term, some need to be done in the medium term, some need to be done in the long term. And you know Nigerians, we want things to be done well. Everybody wants to be independent. We have entrepreneurs and all that all around. Now, what do you think needs to be done? You already said it can't be a quick fix. What are the stages we need to go through, at least so that we know that there will be light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, firstly, the issue of power is very important because a lot of SMEs have gone aground because they don't have access to power.
Even leaving the country.
Because some of them, how many of them can buy generating sets that have 200, what do you call it?
Yes, I know for electricity is megawatts.
Yes.
For I think it's voltage.
Yes. How many of them can afford that? How many of them? The big boys like the Guinnesses of the world, the Cadbury's can afford it. How many SMEs can afford that? You understand what I'm saying? So if we can improve on our power system, that will really help a lot. It's very, very important. And it also help to reduce cost of production. For those of them who can even afford it, it adds more to their cost of production. Look at diesel. How much is a liter of diesel? It's so much. You understand? How many people can afford that? That's one. Power is very, very important. Then the issue of access to credit. The high interest rate is killing. In fact, a lot of them are scared. They are so scared to go and borrow money. You know the meaning of that? It's like, trying to get mosquito kidney. You're borrowing money at a very high interest rate. You just want to die. So a lot of them are scared. And even those of them that are borrowed are running helter-skelter, trying to see how to meet up.
Because the interest rates.
So the government should try to look into that. I know there have been interventions, agreed.
Yes.
There have been interventions here and there. But the issue is that how many of the SMEs have access to these intervention funds? That's another thing. You understand? The CBN have been trying, the Bank of Industry. Why am I saying this? Bank of Industry, their facilities are usually under single-digit interest rate, which is commendable. The Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, their interest rates, and NEFON, when it was in existence, they were giving single-digit interest rate. That's that. But you can't compare that with what's obtainable with commercial banks. Up to now, the commercial banks, their interest rate, and when you confront them, usually tell you this is shareholders' money. You see, this is another reason they will give you. Then, multiple taxation need to be addressed. I think it's being addressed now for the government to set up a national tax review committee to look at that. That means it's being addressed. We hope that at the end of the day, most of the recommendations we made to help SMEs in that area will be adopted. That will be very, very good. Then access to market also. You talked about diversification before, which is very good. When our economy becomes diversified, it now means that most of the products we produce here could be exported. Could be exported to the outside market, and we earn foreign exchange. Yeah. But for your products to be competitive in the international environment, you have to comply with quality and standards.
And that's one very important thing.
Yes.
Packaging.
All those things are very, very important. Now, at the same time in Nigeria, there are some agencies with the Nigerian government that are working on that. I don't know if you've heard of this, National Quality Infrastructure. It's an initiative of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, their office in Nigeria here, and they're working with the Nigerian government and other stakeholders like us, NASME. We are working in a lot of the committees that are seeing this. And now we've gone to the extent of, creating what you call CABs, Conformity Assessment Bodies, so that BMOs can even establish, individuals can register conformity assessment bodies. These conformity assessment bodies are the bodies that will look into the products that are manufactured in Nigeria that are going to be exported. do they comply with set standards and qualities? You understand? Which is this is a landmark development.
Talking about set standards and quality, I must thank you so much for your time. Very interesting, and time flies. aka BG is Executive Secretary, Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. You know, giving insights into how SMEs can really contribute to the growth of the Nigerian economy, particularly at this time in recession, and also looking for ways at which we could tap from the non-oil sector. I think the SMEs creating an enabling environment for them would be very, very important at this time. I must thank you again for joining us on Business Nigeria.
Thank you.
Well, Nigerians are probably one of the most entrepreneurial boats on earth. Entrepreneurial people, I beg your pardon, on earth. But this is not enough. In order to positively encourage the spirit of enterprise among our young people, universities and other institutions of higher learning must be encouraged to become more commercially focused and more entrepreneurial. Well, that's our package for you today on Business Nigeria. Join us for another time for more insightful analysis. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Tolulokpe Ogunjobi. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave you with the figures of the exchange rate as it stands today. Bye for now.